Hi friends, welcome back to the Scapegoat Club. My name's Jess, and in this video I want to talk about what happens when we argue with our narcissistic parents and what happens when we choose not to. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Jess. I'm a psychotherapist and I'm also the scapegoat in a pretty difficult family. My parents have very narcissistic behaviors and tendencies, and this channel is really here to share experiences and to hear what you think, and just so we can really try and support each other and not feel quite as alone, and share tips and strategies on how to manage things. So one of the things that can be really difficult as the child of a narcissist or narcissistic parents is that we can have these tendencies to get into the family argument. And it happens in every family. This isn't specific to narcissistic families, but the thing with narcissists is they are brilliant at pushing buttons, and they actually thrive on disagreement and conflict. It makes them feel better. It kind of pushes in and inflates their ego when they can get a rise out of us. They can see us behave in a way that is maybe not as mature or not as good as we would normally want to act. And so that can give them a kick. Basically, it makes them feel a little bit better about themselves. So sadly, they seem to have this kind of, even if it's unconscious, this kind of way of really wanting to kind of push our buttons to get a rise out of us, to make things more difficult. So what do we do about it? It is maddening. And so what can happen is that a narcissistic parent can do that. They can basically pick a fight with us. They can be looking for trouble, or they can just be doing their usual thing. They're not thinking about somebody else. Everything is according to their rules. We all have to go along with whatever they want. And it tries the patience of anybody, and eventually at some point it really gets under our skin and we want to fight back. It's really natural to want to fight back, and in a kind of a healthy relationship, fighting back could be helpful, because it could allow us to state our preferences and our choices and to get our voice out there. Unfortunately, that's not what the narcissistic parent wants. That is not on their agenda at all. Their agenda does not include us having a voice. And so what happens is that they can just keep pushing, and eventually we just want to fight back. The problem is when we fight back and when we argue, we're doing a few things. The first thing we're doing is, as I said, we are feeding the fuel to their fire. They love conflict. It makes them feel better about themselves. So effectively, we are giving them what's called narcissistic supply. We are enabling their narcissistic behavior because we're falling into that trap, and we're giving them that ego food by arguing back with them. Because what can happen is kind of like the second thing that can happen when we argue with these people is that we end up falling back into childlike behaviors and childlike stereotypes. And it's common to do this around any family members. We revert back to our family roles. But really what happens when we argue with our parents is that we end up we're reenacting when we were younger. We are reenacting being that smaller person and younger person in their life that they had power over. And so it kind of doesn't work on a couple of levels. Number one, because our parents then see us as children who can't manage ourselves and need their help or need guidance, and it kind of justifies their wanting to control us or to have their own way, or whatever that looks like. The other thing is that it really makes us feel bad about ourselves, because we revert into this behavior that isn't us anymore. We're adults. We have skills. We can talk to people. We can communicate. We can negotiate. Maybe not as well as we'd like, but we have ways of getting through the world. And we can make ourselves known. We can make ourselves understood. We can state our preferences to people. I guarantee that everybody watching this video at some point has gone into a coffee shop and ordered the kind of drink that they want. We've made other life choices where we said, this is the thing that I choose to do. And often that's all we're doing with a narcissist. We're just saying, this is what works for me and this is what I want to do. And then we just get the barrage back that that's just not how it's done. That's not going to happen. We're selfish. Whatever that talk is. And so the problem is that when we argue, we revert into these stereotypes. When we do that, we end up losing confidence. And that is a huge part of the narcissist's game, a huge part of the narcissistic parent's power over us. Because when we lose confidence, we then leave a space in the dynamic of the relationship for somebody else to come along and say, you don't quite get it. You don't quite have the skills or the control or what you need. I'm better. I can bring this to the next level. I can step up for you, or I can look after you. I can do it better. Leave it to me. So as soon as we argue back and we lose that control, we can end up down here. And the last problem with arguing with narcissistic parents is it's a complete waste of time. It's a huge waste of our energy because we're playing their game again and we have better things to do with our lives. We've probably given a huge amount of time and energy into trying to make this relationship work, into trying to support our parents, into trying to give them what they need, into trying to be the person or the child that they want. We have tried for decades to do that. We've tried that through our childhoods. Nothing really worked, or very few things worked, or if they worked one time, they didn't work another time. We have put so much energy into trying to make these people happy, and really, honestly, we're wasting so much of our valuable energy and time on this planet, for want of a better way of looking at it. We've got better things to do with our time than argue with people who just want to argue and want to control us and have no interest in any kind of solution. So, Your Honor, I rest my case for why, if we can, we should kind of try and choose not to argue with our parents. So, if we choose not to argue, and I'm specifically saying choose because we do have a choice. It might be really hard and we might not always be successful in making that choice, but when we choose not to argue with our parents, a few things happen. The first thing is, and this is immense, we start to rewrite the rules. We start to be able to put our own stamp on what we want from this relationship, because ultimately we do have a choice. We have a choice about a lot of things in our lives, and one of them is whether we argue with our parents or not. It's whether we get pulled into that nonsensical, ridiculous debate, or we go along with what they need but we resent it. We have a choice, and we have a choice not to argue. And so when we're not arguing, we're basically saying there is a different way that this relationship can go. There is a different way that I can choose to relate to other people in my life, and I'm choosing that, and that in itself gives us so much power. It flips that power dynamic that they've been wanting and they've had probably for most of our lives, if not all of our lives. Suddenly they don't get to make that choice for us, and we've effectively changed the rules of the game. The second thing we do when we choose not to argue is that when we go into that arguing state of mind, we can become elevated pretty quickly. We can get energized, and we can get angry, and we can go from a calmer state into something a lot more activated and potentially less controlled. So when we choose not to argue, effectively we are keeping a step back away from having a lot less control than we would like in the situation. So the more that we can stand back and say like, don't want to go down that road with you, don't want to know, the more we can stay back, the more we can kind of deactivate that on button that they like to press that gets us going. And that is an immense, that's the biggest superpower around people like this, is that they can't get a rise to us. It takes a lot of time to deactivate those buttons, but one of the ways to start is to make that choice and again say, I'm going to step back, and then I've still got myself, and I'm still centered, and I'm still in control of me, and I want to stay in control of me. That's my goal. Because when I'm in control of me, you don't get to take control of me. So I really just kind of talked about that third point, is that when we choose not to argue, we can really increase our confidence, and we can increase that self-control, and they feed off each other. When we feel a bit more confident, we have more control, and then we have more control and we feel more confident. It's this wonderful supportive spiral. So it works on like multiple levels. We're really helping support ourselves from a couple of different angles. And so really the last upside to not arguing with our parents is that we don't have to waste that time and energy on it. It's fruitless. It's damaging for us. It gives a bunch of energy to someone else. And so instead of supporting someone else, we get that energy for us. And that energy we can do so many beautiful things with. We can spend time with people who appreciate us and want to be with us and help support us. We can spend time doing the things we enjoy. We can spend time supporting our own families, supporting our own lives. We might have more time to focus at work. We might have more energy to look after ourselves and to do some much needed exercise, or to do something that will just really make us happy. Basically, any energy that we're giving to a narcissist is something that we're never going to get back, we're never going to be thanked for, and that they're just going to want more. So at any point, no matter where we are, once we can stop giving them quite as much as we used to, every single piece of energy we don't give to them is a win. And once we start doing it a little bit and a little bit, we can start seeing those results. It kind of ripples, and it is amazing when we have time to support ourselves. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to have the time and the energy to be able to support ourselves. And then maybe we can have more to support our family and our parents too. It doesn't necessarily mean that we can't give anything to them, but we need to make sure we have a balance, and we need to make sure that we have enough for us. And that's something that the narcissist probably hasn't thought about and hasn't figured out or doesn't like. But it doesn't mean to say we need to do it their way. Friends, I hope you found it useful. Let me know what you think below. Have you managed to not argue with your narcissistic parents? And how do you do it? It's a skill. Maybe I will do a video if you think that would be useful, tips on how to not get pulled into it in the moment. Leave a comment down below and I can do a video on that too. Please take care, my friends, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.